Hi guys, Mrs. Ferguson here. All right, I just finished reading a book about sharks, which is pretty cool. And then I thought I'm going to read another book about animals, extinct animals, about dun, 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 dinosaurs. This is the incredible journey through the world of dinosaurs. Take a trip through time millions of years ago. There we go. Hang on, my cat's making a funny noise. Okay, I don't see anything. Here we go. There we go. Here we go. Introduction. There's kind of a cool picture here. Some pictures. There is my favorite dinosaur of all time. I just love the Stegosaurus. I used to draw them all the time when I was a kid. Okay, you guys know what dinosaurs look like. As I read, you can picture it. Dinosaurs ruled the world for more than 160 million years. Okay, the light is glaring. Here we go. Let's do better. While they were around, no other large land animals existed. Some kinds, the massive, lumbering, long-necked dinosaurs, they were the largest animals that ever walked on land. Others, like the Tyrannosaurus rex, they were the most powerful carnivores the world has ever seen. And it's not surprising that these reptiles were given the name dinosaurs, which means in Latin, terrible lizards. There were hundreds of different species, and many were much smaller than the famous giants. Some were, hang on, I don't want to stop the tape for that. Here we go. Some were much smaller than the famous giants. Some were no bigger than cats, and some could run as fast as an ostrich. Others were very solidly built and very slow-moving creatures. A wide range of dinosaurs carried armor or horns or spikes or their tails like had a club on it. Beginning about 230 million years ago, the age of dinosaurs lasted up until about 65 million years ago. During that vast span of time, just to give you an idea, modern humans have only existed for 100,000 years. The dinosaurs spread to all parts of the world. As time went by, so the dinosaurs evolved, and then species came and went. This is the story of the dinosaurs that lived in what is now the western United States. The trip you will make is not far from one place to another, but through time. The stops on your journey are not different parts of the world. They're the same place, but seen after intervals of many millions of years. Notice how the animals, plants, and even the landscape itself will change dramatically from one time period to the next. A tour of the age of dinosaurs is truly an incredible journey. So here we start before the dinosaurs. Our journey begins more than 100 million years before the first dinosaur appeared. We are in the Carboniferous period. Got that one. A time when, for the first time in the history of Earth, thick, swampy forest covered the tropical lowlands. Huge tree ferns, 100 feet high, lepidodendron, a lycopod or a club moss, calamites, a large horsetail. These dominated the forests. There were dragonflies that had a wingspan as big as a seagull. So think of a seagull now. Well, a dragonfly was that big. And they flew among the trees. Huge cockroaches, 6-foot-long centipedes. They all lived in the undergrowth. Insects and spiders and crustaceans and other land invertebrates all evolved from the marine creatures millions of years earlier. The ancestors of the dinosaurs are to be found basking in the swampy waters of the forest. Millions of years earlier, there were fish that had acquired the ability to lunge out of the water to catch the insects. And gradually, their fins became more bony, and they got fingers and toes. Then they developed lungs so they could breathe air outside of the water. These animals, called amphibians, they spent most of their time on land, and they would return to the water only to lay their eggs. Some animals descended from certain kinds of amphibians, and they laid hard-shell eggs that would survive out of the water. And these include this animal, an 8-inch long, one of the first reptiles called a Hylonomus. And then here's a picture here of what the swamp looked like. Some of these amphibians. Big old dragonflies. There's that 6-foot long centipede. And then we have here coal swamps. The world 320 million years ago is a very different place than today. The continents of North America and Europe, they were still joined together. Hot, steamy jungle blanketed the land. The cycle of growth and the death of swampy vegetation, it made the super dark soil called peat. Over millions of years, thick beds of peat built up and they became compressed under layers of sediment, and eventually this became rock. Today we know this as coal. C-O-A-L. I like this book because it shows now, and then we turn it. Before the Dinosaurs Part 2. Here's the picture. Okay, what does it say here? We travel on through time. The scene before us is completely transformed. Gone are the lush green tropical forests, abundant with life that grew there. Instead, it's dry, hot scrubland. During the Carboniferous period, the Earth's continents drifted together to form one new giant supercontinent called Pangaea. Vast ice caps locked up much of the Earth's fresh water, so all the water on Earth was frozen, leaving the rest of the land dry and hot. Able to lay their eggs on land, the reptiles adapted better to these new conditions, so they survived. While large amphibians started to die out because they needed water, many different kinds of reptiles started to evolve. Some developed powerful jaw muscles that enabled them to eat plants, while others would eat insects or other even smaller reptiles. Some even adapted to life in the oceans, and they became voracious predators of fish and other marine creatures. 3 groups of reptiles, they inhabit this Permian landscape. They are the anapsids, which are what became tortoises and turtles. They were also the synapsids and the diapsids. The diapsids will later give rise to what we know as the dinosaurs. The synapsid reptiles dominated this parched scrubland. They're also known as mammal-like reptiles because it's from this group that mammals, including humans, will later evolve. Flesh-eating Dimetrodon and plant-eating Adephosaurus. I hope I said that right. They're each about 10 feet long, and they were synapsid reptiles known as Pelycosaurs. Mrs. Ferguson's really getting tested on her phonetic here. Pelycosaurs. Both have great sails on their back. You're going to see the picture right now. Made of skin supported by long, thin spines that were sticking up from their backbone. And they feed on fish in the swampy areas. So here they are. See those big old spines? Went from that lush vegetation back here, but then the land shifted, so all the water froze up, and then we had this dry area. So the reptiles survived better, so the amphibians started to die out, the reptiles took over. Here we go. Triassic period. It's still hot and dry during the Triassic period, but the cast of animals now has completely changed. The Triassic period begins at a time when a large number of living things, for some unknown reason to scientists, they just suddenly became extinct. Some reptiles did survive, including this mammal-like reptile called Lystrosaurus. Lystrosaurus, there we go. But the dominant reptile group is now the diapsids, that one we said became the dinosaurs. One group called the archosaurs, they multiplied very quickly, and they had powerful jaws and bony armor, and they were more than a match for most of the other land animals, so they were very successful at surviving this time. The early archosaurs had, like modern crocodiles, a long, sprawling gait, but a new kind of archosaur runs around up on its hind legs, leaving its arms free to grab its prey. And these reptiles will develop into an amazing variety of animals that will start to dominate the land for the next 160 million years. The dinosaurs have now arrived. And you can picture that. So a crocodile, but then another animal similar to a crocodile went up on its hind legs and its front arms were free. What does that remind you of? Like, kind of like what a Tyrannosaurus Rex, up on its hind legs and its arms free. Animals like that. And there's pictures here I'm going to show you in a second. There was a dinosaur, a flesh-eating dinosaur called a Coelophysis. We're going to go with that. And it learned to hunt in packs. Its prey ranged from insects to lizards to primitive mammals and the early plant-eating dinosaur, Technosaurus. So here we go. Here's a picture I'm going to show you. So it shows you the creatures that went up on their hind legs. Here's kind of down low, but then they went up on their hind legs and they were able to grab their prey now with their arms. So it gave them an advantage. So anything that had an advantage was going to survive better, have more of their own, and kind of take over. What is a dinosaur? A dinosaur is a reptile that lived on land during the Mesozoic era. The Mesozoic era encompasses the Triassic, the Jurassic, and the Cretaceous period. Neither marine reptiles or flying reptiles were dinosaurs. Dinosaurs walked upright, their legs supporting them beneath their bodies like mammals and birds. This posture distinguishes dinosaurs from the other reptiles. Lizards, for example, have sprawling limbs, and some early archosaurs were kind of halfway between that low on the ground and the upright. And you will see here a modern lizard. This is a Komodo dragon. You see how it's sprawling down. In between is an early archosaur. So he's sprawling, but not quite as far down. He's kind of up a little more. And then he becomes the dinosaur up on his hind legs. That's a dinosaur. Okay, here we go. Early Jurassic period. The supercontinent of Pangaea has now started to break apart. Warm winds blow across the shallow seas, making the climate much wetter than before. And now dense vegetation grows rapidly in the swampy lowlands, providing a rich source of food for all of the plant-eating dinosaurs. New groups of dinosaurs have evolved to take full advantage of this food supply. Prosauropods, they have long necks and tails. They have bulky but light bodies, slender limbs, narrow tiny heads. They're the forerunners of the sauropods, which will be the dominant plant eaters of the late Jurassic period. But the prosauropod is typical of its kind. It spends most of its time eating, roaming the forest in herds, rearing up on its hind legs to get the leaves that are up higher in the branches, and it uses its serrated front teeth to crop them off. And it also swallows stones to help grind up the tough plant material inside its stomach. This animal is only 15 feet long, and it's not the fastest of the dinosaurs. Nevertheless, it's able to defend itself by using its large, curved thumb claws to jab into the body of an attacker. Rather similar to a later plant eater you'll see called an iguanodon. Other plant eaters, they had different forms of defense to ward off their attackers. The Celidosaurus is protected by bony plates called scutes, studded with parallel rows of spikes, and these cover the animal's neck, back, sides, and tail. Even its head has armor made of scutes. Both of these animals lack the speed of the Dilophosaurus. This swift, crested pack hunter had the ability to kill with one single bite or a single blow from its sharp claws. Not all dangerous predators are dinosaurs. There were also land-living crocodiles and some other that would threaten placid plant eaters. And so here we have a picture of these animals of the early Jurassic. Kind of cool. Now we move on to the late Jurassic. How am I doing on my pronunciation? Hopefully no scientists are watching this. As the Jurassic period wears on, the sauropods have become bigger and bigger. Now 65-foot giants like Diplodocus roam through forests, stripping the trees of their leaves as they go. Because the plant eaters are now so much larger, their predators must now also become more powerful. Some hunt together in packs. A joint effort is needed to bring down a Camarasaurus, which is a 22-ton sauropod. The most gigantic of the late Jurassic predators is an Allosaurus. It has long, muscular hind legs and immense, expandable jaws that are lined with saw-edged teeth. We're going to see that here in a second. It will overpower its victims by gripping them with its claws, and then it would bite them in the neck. The plant eaters protect themselves by staying close together in herds, and their tails would whip around and fend off attackers. The slow 30-foot Stegosaurus, well, it had extra means of defense. It had these rows of bony plates along its back and a swishy, spiny tail, and that would deter most predators from approaching it. And then gangs of much smaller predators called Ornitholestes, they would hunt lesser prey, and they would even scavenge like the little pieces left from the Allosaurus's meal. And then right here, the first birds. This is late Jurassic period, and the first birds evolved during this time. They're not related to pterosaurs, like pterodactyls and things like that, but are probably actually descendants of dinosaurs themselves. The skeletons of early birds, such as this Archaeopteryx, which you're going to see a picture of, they're very similar to those of the small theropods, which are the little flesh-eating dinosaurs. And recent finds suggest that a number of different dinosaurs actually had feathers. So here's that Allosaurus eating, and then up in the box you're going to see the bird, or birds made their appearance here. There's the bird up close. There's the Allosaur. Eating another one. There's the Stegosaurus. And now we move into the early Cretaceous period. The Cretaceous period sees the age of dinosaurs at its height. The northern and southern halves of Pangaea, named Laurasia and Gondwanaland, respectively, they start to break up into separate continents themselves, and these will later become the continents that we know today. The climate stays warm and very humid, which is ideal conditions for plant growth. Even in Antarctica, it's warm and humid. Flowering plants, deciduous trees, they have started to replace the more ancient plant species now. And dinosaurs of all kinds thrive on every continent. The ornithischians, I think I did that right, bird-hipped is what they're called, they become much more abundant during this time, the Cretaceous period, at the expense of some slow, lumbering sauropods. And here's an interesting, Brachiosaurus's nostrils were on the top of its head. That's just a little caption here. It's kind of interesting. But the age of the giant sauropod is not quite over yet, because in some parts of the world they will live on right until the end of the age of dinosaurs. Brachiosaurus, one of the largest dinosaurs, roams the early Cretaceous landscape. This immense creature, it's taller than a 4-story building. It would move in herds through the forest, cropping vegetation with its teeth. A fern here, leaves on a high branch there, and its sheer size would protect it from even the largest of predators, although the adults keep a careful eye on their more vulnerable young. The plant eaters would live in constant fear of attack. Some herbivores, like the Hypsilophodon, sounds good to me, move about in herds, and they would sprint for safety whenever danger would threaten. At 30 feet long, the iguanodon is a much larger dinosaur than the Hypsilophodon, and rather slower, despite its ability to run on 2 legs. The fact that it is so large and tended to gather in herds kept most predators away, but if it was alone and cornered, it would rely on other means of defense. It would rear up on its hind legs, and it would jab its thumb spike into the body of its attacker. Aside from its ability to counterattack, the iguanodon is actually a peaceful plant eater. that just eats vegetation with its toothless beak, and it would just chew with its cheek teeth. And it could walk either on its back legs or on all four equally. And now we move to the mid-Cretaceous period. We have traveled forward in time yet again. Now we are witnessing an important aspect of dinosaur evolution. As a plant-eating dinosaur evolves a way of protecting itself from the onslaught of a predator, so a predator evolves ever more powerful weapons of attacking. It's a kind of arms race, leading to the evolution of new kinds of dinosaurs from one time period to the next. Sauropelta is an ankylosaur, which is a heavily built, four-legged plant eater. Its shoulders, neck, back, and tail are covered in these bony cones and studs that are embedded in thick leathery skin. Protecting its neck and sides is a row of long, sharp spikes, one on either flank. It's kind of cool looking. I'm going to show you that picture right now. See that guy right there? That's who we're reading about. There we go. Sauropelta moves slowly, cutting low-lying vegetation with its beak and then chewing on it with its cheek teeth. It can't run away from swift predators, so it relies on its armor for protection. What weapons can... Let's see if we can do this. Deinonychus. There we go. What kind of weapons can Deinonychus use against this formidable defense? It's a small animal, no bigger than a 10-year-old child, although it has this long, stiffened tail that makes it almost about the length of a small car. But this little animal was a highly effective killer. Its large head is equipped with saw-edged, backward curving teeth. So, teeth this way, backward curving. Right, backward curving teeth. And you'll see it in the picture here. While its long arms have three-fingered hands with long, sharp claws, but its most fearsome weapon is this scythe-like swiveling claw on the second toe of each foot. It reminds me of a velociraptor. Huh. I wonder if it is a velociraptor. Here we go. Because that looks like blue, doesn't it? And there's that little claw that I know we all learned about with velociraptors. And they would hunt in packs. Huh. We'll have to check out the copyright down this book. Maybe they changed names. We'll have to see. Here we go. The second toe of each foot. A Deinonychus probably hunted in small packs. Here we see three of these dinosaurs sneaking up on the Sauropelta. They will surround it. One will leap on its back. The others will attempt to slash through its armored hide with repeated kicks of their lethal toe claw. Sauropelta's spikes might repel the initial attacks, but eventually the strength of numbers and the slashing claws will win the day for the pack. The name Deinonychus means terrible claw. Interesting. If we don't run into velociraptors here sometime too, we're gonna have to research that. Now we're in the late Cretaceous period. By the late Cretaceous period, new kinds of bird-hipped, plant-eating dinosaurs have evolved. Now they're very common. They have spread to all the lands of the northern hemisphere, which is still linked together. They're known as hadrosaurs or duckbills. When you see the picture, you'll see why. Duckbills. They're perfectly adapted to the modern world. Their old teeth are continuously replaced by new ones, which is a unique feature that allows them to take full advantage of a wide variety of plants that are available. The duckbills may look quite different from one another, but they're actually very closely related. Their snouts are broad and flattened into a toothless beak, and this feature gives these dinosaurs their common name. Inside their jaws, they will have up to 1,000 teeth in their cheek teeth. Each one is coated with hard enamel. And many duckbills you will see will have a crest. Corythosaurus has a semicircular one, while the Lambeosaurus is a V-shaped one. And some have none, which is unusual for a duckbill. But what are these crests for? As the duckbills gather in herds, the crest, which has a distinctive shape and pattern, helps one family member recognize another. The crests are hollow and linked to the nasal passages, so they also probably helped amplify the dinosaur's call. So you made the sound come out that way. The long crest of the Parasaurolophus. Let's do this again. Parasaurolophus produced a particularly low, deep sound. See their crests up on top of their head that come from their noses. Kind of look like some of the creatures in Star Wars. They're called, it means helmet lizard. Now the late dinosaurs. I think these are the ones we're most familiar with, probably. We are nearing the end of our journey. The age of dinosaurs is almost over, but the last years of the dinosaurs' reign on Earth see the emergence of some of the most spectacular kinds. A new group, Ceratopsians, or the horned dinosaurs, are the last of the bird hips to evolve. Triceratops, the best known, has a massive head with 2 long pointed horns on its brow and 1 on its snout. Behind its skull is a massive upward curving sheet of bone called a neck frill. Using its parrot-like beak, Triceratops can chomp its way through the toughest of plant foods. And here it says Triceratops weighed about the same as a really big truck. Triceratops is well equipped to defend itself from all but the most powerful predators. One such predator, a 40-foot-long killer, Tyrannosaurus rex, has a colossal head and awesome teeth. Its massive legs give it great speed over short distances, allowing it to rush at its victims and bring them down with its teeth or claws. The Tyrannosaurus's arms are puny, but if they were any longer, the weight of its head would overbalance it. Living among these great dinosaurs are some tiny, furry, shrew-like animals. And these animals, these mammals, they are about to inherit the earth. Dinosaur skull down here. Tyrannosaurus' head was about 4 feet long. Its jaws were lined with teeth. Some were 7 inches long, and they were like steak knives. The lower jaw was hinged in a way to maximize its opening. An 8-year-old child could crawl inside and squat down and sit in it. Tyrannosaurus's forward-facing eyes allowed it to judge distances well. So not like some birds have the eyes on the side and some birds have them in front. The predators have them in front. And now we get to extinction. On our journey through time, we become accustomed to scenes of lush vegetation. In such environments, plant-eating dinosaurs thrived. So did the flesh-eating dinosaurs that preyed on them. Now the landscape has undergone a dramatic change. Instead of swampy forests, there's bleak, cold desert, almost completely without any plant life. And the dinosaurs, who were dependent on warmth and a plentiful supply of food to fuel their massive bodies, they could not survive in these conditions. No one really knows why the dinosaurs died out. So this is only what scientists think happened. The atmosphere, it may have filled with dust, the result either of a massive explosion from a falling asteroid or maybe some huge volcanic eruptions. The winds then blew the dust to all parts of the globe, blotting out the sun, lowering the temperature for years on end. And the dinosaurs, along with marine reptiles and pterosaurs, all died out. But some other species, lizards, snakes, crocodiles, turtles, they all managed to survive under these conditions. Mammals also survived under these conditions, along with birds. In fact, since birds are actually probably feathered theropods, it could actually be argued that dinosaurs never actually became extinct. They just evolved into birds. what happened. And here's a picture here of like an asteroid and then a picture of a volcano. There are two main theories to explain why the dinosaurs became extinct abruptly 65 million years ago. One is that a massive asteroid, which is a large rocky object in space, may have crashed into Earth, punching a huge crater in the surface, which threw up vast quantities of rock high into the atmosphere. Another theory is that volcanic eruptions were responsible for filling the atmosphere with dust. What if there was a giant supervolcano that erupted at the end of the Cretaceous period? Evidence for both of these theories comes from the discovery of layers of a rare metal iridium, which is usually only found in the Earth's core. And that metal is also found in asteroids. But that metal is found in late Cretaceous rocks, dated exactly to the time when the dinosaurs died out. So that metal could have come in the rocks when the dinosaurs died out. That metal could have gotten there either from asteroids from space that have that metal, or come up from out of the core of the Earth with a volcano. But somehow that metal got there at the same time that the dinosaurs died. Here we go. After the dinosaurs. Oh. You'll see. The story of the dinosaurs has ended, but we continue our journey through time to find out what happened after they disappeared. The breakup of the Pangaean supercontinent is nearly complete now. Each new continent is isolated from the others except for Australia and Antarctica, which at this time are still linked together. This means that since the mammals can evolve independently on their own island continent, separate from each other, extraordinary varieties start to emerge. Here we go. In the 10 million years since the extinction of the dinosaurs, elephants, cats, bats, whales, many other familiar mammals appeared, although their prehistoric ancestors look very different from their later descendants. Here's an early horse called a Hyracotherium. It's just 8 inches high at the shoulder. It's like a little tiny horse. Oh. It roams the forest floor, chewing the leaves from the low tree branches and shrubs. There it is, little tiny baby horse. Little teeny horse. That became horses. Wow. There's another one called the tree climber, or the Criacus. The Criacus is an ancestor to later grazing animals feeding on insects and fruits. The birds have also survived the extinctions, and they've quickly diversified into thousands of different species. And in some parts of the world, birds have taken over the role of predators that giant carnivores once held during the age of the dinosaurs. The giant 10-foot-high diatrema, which was a flightless bird, it can cover the ground very quickly indeed, and that's this green one here. A tiny Hyracotherium is easily crushed in its huge pointed beak. So it shows this bird right here, flightless bird, but runs very fast on those legs, eating that little 8-inch horse. And then right here we show Diatrema's head was almost the size of a modern horse's head. So that bird is about the size of a modern horse, eating that little ancient tiny horse. Over here it says, the first human-like mammal appeared 5 million years ago. And that's showing the guy there digging up bones. Discovering dinosaurs. For the final stage of our journey, we've reached the present day. The animals that once roamed these lands have long since vanished, but their remains in some cases are preserved in rocks as fossils. Over millions of years, sand, mud, and clay was laid down in rivers, lakes, seas, and it would turn to rock as the layers got compacted. Fossils are the remains of things that lived during the same age as the surrounding rock, but many fossils will never be found if the rock is too deeply buried or deformed by heat and pressure or has simply eroded away. And I'm going to show you some pictures there. They're showing them digging out some fossils. The best places to find dinosaur fossils are where rocks from the Mesozoic area lie exposed at the surface. Places like deserts and sea cliffs, or even in rock quarries. Some fossils have been found by accident, but most are dug up during a planned expedition. Paleontologists look for unusual stones in likely places. Sometimes a large skeleton, like the one you're going to see in the picture here. This is a Tyrannosaurus Rex skeleton we're going to see. They're found when just one single bone is spotted sticking out from the rocks. At the excavation site, the fossil hunters will use picks and shovels to try and clear the rock away, and then they use more careful work to free the fossil from the surrounding rock using tools like toothbrushes and other little brushes. They will measure and record every detail of their find. Then the bones are packed up carefully and transported back to the laboratory for analysis. That's it. There's one more page. In the back is a glossary. Kind of cool. How many of you are interested in being a paleontologist? That's pretty cool. That was an interesting little read. I liked it. Now in the back it says further reading, and we have pretty much, I think almost every one, maybe one I don't recognize, in our library. So we have Dinosaurs Are Different by Leakey. I know we have Magic School Bus, Time of Dinosaurs. We've got all these Alphabet of Dinosaurs. We have Gail Gibbons' Dinosaurs. We got all these books. So here's a list of books in the back if you want to read some more. Leap into the world of dinosaurs through the holes cut in this book. It's hard to do on the video, but when you guys see it in person, you're going to see the cutouts. It makes it pretty cool. So you can kind of, it gives you a peek into the next time period, which is kind of cool. That was fun to read. Well, dinosaurs are great. Everybody loves, we all grew up learning about dinosaurs. Everybody loves learning about dinosaurs. They're just such a mystery and just so cool. I mean, they're really cool. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed it. And I guess that's it for now. On to my next book. What will it be? What do I have here? The Houdini box. I'm going to read that next. You'll have to look for it. But we're over and out for now. Bye, guys. I'll see you later.